Hi there. I just wanted to personally reach out and help you with your upcoming assignments. With over 8 years of experience in academic research, I specialize on how stressful deadlines and formatting can be.
Hey there, and welcome to This Explainer. Look, I am so glad you're tuning in today because we're tackling something that literally all of us have wrestled with at some point. If you've ever stared at a textbook and just felt completely paralyzed, take a deep breath. Seriously, you are not lazy. Your brain is just resisting a super inefficient process. It's a completely universal struggle. But today, we're going to unpack some genuinely game-changing insights, straight from students who have actually cracked the code on academic survival. We've distilled their real-world experiences right into this explainer to show you exactly how to flip the script on your study habits. So let's start with the million-dollar question, right? Why does studying always feel so incredibly exhausting? We kind of have this assumption baked into us that to be a good student, we have to lock ourselves in a room for, 8 straight hours, chained to a desk, basically just suffering through the material. But what if I told you that exhaustion is not a badge of honor? It's actually a massive red flag that your system is broken. We really need to challenge this assumption right now. The core concept here is that the sheer number of hours you sit with your books, it means almost nothing if your method is flawed. Method matters infinitely more than time. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is the guiding principle for our whole time together today. Studying isn't about how many hours you sit. It's all about how you study. So instead of just focusing on raw endurance, we're going to focus on efficiency. I'm going to walk you through some incredibly simple, practical tips that actually work, like in real life. These aren't just abstract theories. These are actionable strategies you can literally start using the minute this explainer is over to change the way you learn forever.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the cramming trap.
Let's be real for a second. We have all pulled an all-nighter before a massive test, trying to shove an entire semester's worth of info into our brains in one agonizing sitting. But cramming, it only fuels short-term memory. It literally guarantees huge spikes in stress, anxiety, and eventually, total burnout. Think of it like trying to grow a plant by drowning it in a whole gallon of water all at once. The plant doesn't absorb it, it just dies. What you actually need is spaced repetition, studying just a little bit every single day. This naturally taps into the brain's forgetting curve, signaling that this info is actually important over the long haul. You're just watering that plant a little bit every day, letting its roots grow really deep and strong without totally overwhelming your system. And that perfectly sets us up for Section 2, techniques for real learning. We really have to move past this idea of just passively highlighting a textbook or rereading our notes for the 5th time. Instead, we use active recall. This is basically the practice of actively stimulating your memory during the learning process. It forces your brain to work harder. In psychology, they actually call this desirable difficulty, meaning that friction, that mental heavy lifting, is exactly what strengthens your neural pathways and makes the info stick. If you're just looking at a page, your brain gets this false sense of confidence, like, oh yeah, I know this. But closing the book and pulling that information out of your own head, that is where the actual undeniable learning happens.
So, how do we actually pull this off? Step 1, close your book. Literally, shut it. Step 2, ask yourself out loud, okay, what do I actually remember from what I just read? And then step 3, prove it. Write it down on a blank piece of paper, say it out loud to yourself, or, my personal favorite, teach it to an imaginary student, or even your dog. I mean, they really won't judge your math skills. I really want to challenge you right now. During your very next study session, try these exact steps. It's going to feel kind of weird and uncomfortable at first, mostly because it takes actual effort, but I promise you the results will absolutely blow you away.
Another incredible way to make learning active is to make it visual. Please don't just stare at giant walls of black and white text. Grab some highlighters, use colorful sticky notes, draw diagrams, or sketch out a quick mind map. This taps into what's known as the picture superiority effect. Basically, your brain absolutely loves novelty and color. Mapping things out visually will honestly keep you engaged and help you recall concepts so much faster, especially under the intense pressure of an actual exam. Okay, moving right along to Section 3, mastering focus and flow. Look, we've got the memory techniques down, but literally none of it matters if your phone is constantly buzzing. Research actually shows it takes over 20 minutes to regain deep focus after just one single interruption. 20 minutes! So here is the absolute non-negotiable rule: complete distraction removal. When you sit down to study, your phone goes on silent and it goes completely away from the desk. Out of sight, out of mind. Or, use one of those strict notification blockers. When it is study time, your one and only job is to focus. No accidental 30-minute social media doom scrolling allowed. Period.
Now, if staring at a textbook for 2 unbroken hours sounds absolutely agonizing, well, don't do it. Enter the Pomodoro technique. Now, what's really interesting about this is that it's a time management framework that breaks your work into short, highly focused bursts, perfectly separated by planned breaks. It is honestly the ultimate tool to prevent burnout because it takes this massive, overwhelming mountain of studying and makes it feel incredibly easy and bite-sized. Let's walk through the exact mechanics of a Pomodoro session because it's so elegantly simple. Step 1. You set a timer and study with 0 distractions for just 25 minutes. Anyone can focus for 25 minutes, right? Step 2. When that timer goes off, you immediately take a 5-minute break. Step 3. You repeat that cycle 4 times. And then step 4, after that 4th cycle, you reward yourself with a longer 15 to 20-minute break. This specific rhythm keeps your brain exceptionally fresh instead of trying to force hours of exhausting, uninterrupted focus that, let's be honest, ultimately just leads to diminishing returns anyway.
All right, let's shift gears a bit to Section 4, Fueling Body and Environment.
So up to this point, we've really been focusing on the brain. But here's the thing. You cannot outstudy a chaotic environment. Your surroundings completely dictate your cognitive performance. If your physical space is messy or super loud, your brain is going to mirror that exact chaos. You have to actively curate a space that actually helps you concentrate. The ideal setup needs to be clean, calm, motivating, and comfortable. For some people, maybe that's a quiet corner in a library with noise-canceling headphones and some lo-fi beats. For others, it's a dedicated desk in their bedroom. Whatever it is for you, take ownership of that environment so it acts as an accelerator for your focus, not a total roadblock.
Equally crucial are your physiological foundations. I'm talking about the basics: drinking enough water, getting proper sleep, and eating actual healthy food. And actually, let's just firmly dismantle a massive myth right now: the all-nighter. Pulling an all-nighter might feel like this ultimate badge of academic dedication, but physiologically, it's a complete disaster. Sleep is literally when your brain physically consolidates memories and flushes out neurotoxins. A fresh, rested mind will always outperform a sleep-deprived one that's just running on caffeine and sheer panic.
Part of avoiding those panic-induced all-nighters is really understanding the difference between being busy and being productive. Being busy is basically writing down this chaotic to-do list of like 20 items, feeling totally overwhelmed, doing a tiny bit of everything, and finishing absolutely nothing. Being productive, on the other hand, is highly structured. It means looking at your day and identifying just 3 to 5 truly important tasks. When you focus on just a few key things, you actually finish them. And those small, planned wins, they build incredible momentum, which heavily contrasts with the anxiety of that old busy mindset. And that brings us to the final part of our explainer, Section 5, Consistency over Perfection. For long-term success, whether you're in middle school, tackling university, or honestly just learning a new skill for your career, please internalize this. Learning is absolutely not a solo journey. So many of us get stuck on a difficult concept and immediately feel this wave of shame like, oh no, I'm the only one who doesn't get this. So we hide our confusion. You gotta drop that shame right now. Actively talk to your teachers, reach out to classmates, join a study group, or dive into the endless online resources we have today. Asking for help isn't a weakness, it's honestly the ultimate learning hack. The next big mindset shift is to stop trying to be perfect. You really do not need to understand every single detail in one sitting. I want to reassure you that learning is very much a process. Remember our plant metaphor from earlier? 1 or 2 hours of highly focused, daily study using active recall and the Pomodoro technique will completely obliterate a 10-hour day of panicked cramming. Just give yourself the grace to learn incrementally. So, the crucial point here is a very simple, comforting truth. Small progress is still progress. I really want that idea to boost your self-confidence today. Did you only get through 1 chapter instead of 2? Hey, that is still progress. Did you finally understand that one equation that totally had you stumped yesterday? That is progress. Celebrate those small steps because over time, they compound into massive leaps of understanding. Ultimately, getting through school or mastering literally any tough subject is genuinely hard work. There are absolutely going to be days where you just don't feel motivated at all. But remember this, success equals discipline plus daily effort. It doesn't rely on some fleeting bursts of motivation. It relies on you showing up for yourself consistently. Your future is actively being built by the small, seemingly mundane choices you make today. So, my direct challenge to you as we wrap up is this. What small step are you going to take today? You have the blueprint now. You know about active recall, Pomodoro bursts, and the absolute necessity of sleep. The old, exhausting way of cramming is officially in the rearview mirror.
So, what if the only thing standing between you and absolute mastery isn't your capability at all, but simply your method? I really believe you're ready to find out. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Take that first step today, and I'll catch you next time.
Welcome to The Explainer. Look, if you're a student or honestly just anyone trying to wrap your head around a complex new skill, you probably know the universal struggles of procrastination and exam stress. I mean, I have absolutely been there. But here's the secret we're unpacking in today's Explainer. Studying isn't about logging endless, exhausting hours just staring at a desk. It's entirely about how you study. So, grab a notebook, get comfortable, and let's dive into some incredibly practical study tips that actually work in the real world. Today, we're breaking this whole thing down into 5 key areas. First, the problem with cramming. Second, studying smarter, not harder. Third, mastering your focus zone. Fourth, fueling your body and mind. And finally, consistency over perfection.
All right, Section 1, the problem with cramming. Let's look at why this classic, time-honored strategy completely and utterly fails us.
It's a trap almost everyone falls into at least once, right? Usually the night before a massive, high-stakes exam, we try to shove an entire semester's worth of knowledge into our brains in a single, panic-induced night. But the data on this is brutal. Cramming practically guarantees stress and anxiety. And within just a few days, you're going to forget up to 80% of what you just crammed. It literally only feeds your short-term memory. The ultimate antidote here is spaced repetition. Think of it kind of like watering a houseplant. If you pour an entire bucket of water on a little plant all at once, it drowns. But if you give it just a little bit of water every single day, it grows strong. And that is exactly how your brain actually absorbs and holds on to information.
Moving right along to Section 2, study smarter, not harder. Let's shift our focus to some actual cognitive techniques.
The core of this is a concept called active recall. Instead of just passively rereading your notes again and again until your eyes literally glaze over, you need to completely close your book, look away, and ask yourself, what do I remember? Because real learning, it doesn't happen when the information is just passively flowing in. It happens when you force it to flow out.
So how do you actually answer that question? Well, try writing down everything you know entirely from memory. Or say it out loud to yourself. Or, and this is my absolute favorite, teach it to an imaginary student. Seriously, pacing around your room giving an impassioned lecture to a totally empty chair might feel incredibly ridiculous at first, but you've got to trust the process. By doing this, you're forcing your brain to work harder, and it's exactly that mental friction, that effort, that makes the information stick permanently. Okay, Section 3, mastering your focus zone. This is all about how to eliminate distractions and truly control your time. Look, none of those brilliant active recall techniques will work if your environment is chaotic. That starts with the absolute, uncompromising removal of distractions. Yes, that means putting your phone on silent and tossing it across the room out of sight. Once that's out of the way, you need to meet the Pomodoro technique. This is an absolute game changer for productivity. It uses short, highly focused bursts of work to keep your brain fresh and stop burnout in its tracks. Instead of dreading some massive 3-hour study block, this makes the act of studying feel so much more approachable. Here's exactly how to pace out your session. Step 1, you study for just 25 minutes. That's it. Total, uninterrupted focus. Step 2, you stop and take a 5-minute break. Step 3, you repeat that cycle 4 times. And finally, Step 4, you reward yourself with a longer 15 to 20-minute break. Working in these short, punchy bursts ensures your brain stays incredibly sharp, you don't hit that dreaded wall of exhaustion, and you actually process the information you just reviewed. But hey, your time isn't the only thing you need to manage. Your physical space matters just as much. To keep your brain firing on all cylinders, you need a clean, quiet, and comfortable space. Whether that's a cozy library corner with your headphones on, or just your bedroom desk, find what works for you. And here's a fun little trick. Making your studying colorful and creative actually helps. Using highlighters, sticky notes, sketching out diagrams and mind maps, it turns boring, flat notes into something visually stimulating. When you enjoy the process and your environment is calming, you naturally stay engaged and remember things way faster. Which brings us to Section 4, fueling your body and mind. These are the absolute foundational elements of health and focus.
We kind of have this bad habit of treating our brains like machines that can just run endlessly on caffeine and sheer willpower, right? But let's look at reality. When you hydrate, get proper sleep, and eat healthy, you get a fresh mind and rock-solid focus. And a fresh mind always performs better. But pulling all-nighters? Sure, it might feel like a badge of honor in the heat of the moment,
but it actively destroys the very memory and focus you're trying to build. You simply cannot perform if you are running on empty.
Another massive trap is the mental exhaustion that comes from feeling totally overwhelmed by giant, unachievable to-do lists. Instead of listing out 20 different things, start your day by writing down just 3 to 5 truly important tasks. Focus only on completing those specific items. And seriously, celebrate those small wins. Starting your day with a simple, uncluttered list builds immense confidence and momentum. Always keep in mind, being busy is definitely not the same thing as being productive.
And part of being genuinely productive is knowing what to do when you inevitably hit a wall. Learning is not a solo journey. Talk to your teachers, chat with your classmates, or dive into online resources. Sometimes we get stuck and we feel afraid or maybe a little embarrassed to ask questions, but there is absolutely zero shame in getting stuck. Reaching out and leaning on others actually makes you a much stronger, more resilient learner.
Finally, Section 5, Consistency over Perfection, adopting the right mindset for the long haul.
As we enter this final stretch, I want you to completely drop the idea that you need to study 10 hours a day to be successful. It is a total myth. The absolute truth is that just 1 to 2 hours of highly focused, distraction-free studying daily brings amazing results over time. It is far, far superior to pulling erratic, frantic study marathons.
University, exams, learning new skills, it can all be incredibly challenging. But remember this, small progress is still progress. There are going to be tough days where you feel like you're barely moving the needle forward. But self-belief and consistency, those are your greatest tools. Even the absolute smallest step forward is a victory worth recognizing.
Your future is built by what you do today. Success doesn't come from some sudden magical burst of motivation. It comes from discipline and showing up every day. So I'm challenging you. Take that first step today. Put your phone away, crack open that book, and rely on your discipline rather than waiting around to feel motivated. So what is one small 25-minute Pomodoro block you are going to totally conquer right now to start building your future? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Stay focused, keep learning, and you've got this.
And welcome to this explainer, everyone. Today, we're diving into a deeply profound experience that so many of us share, but, we rarely pause to actually unpack it. We're looking at the journey to graduation. From those big dreams to actual, tangible achievements. The source material we're digging into today perfectly captures this whole narrative. It goes from that initial spark of ambition all the way to that triumphant walk across the stage. I'm honestly so excited to guide you through this because whether you're a recent grad, maybe you're currently in the trenches of your studies, or you're looking back years later, this journey is just universally powerful.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever had a moment where you almost just threw in the towel and gave up? Really think about it for a second. Our source text grounds us in the stark reality right off the bat. It asks us to reflect on those moments of just pure, utter exhaustion. We're talking about the sleepless nights, the endless assignments piling up, those incredibly stressful exams. And it's absolutely crucial to acknowledge this right away, right? Because honestly, the celebration of graduation is kind of hollow if we don't first recognize those very real moments where quitting just felt like the easiest option. Section 1. The Weight of the Journey. Okay, let's dive into this. A degree really isn't just about obtaining a piece of paper. The text outlines 3 true elements it's forged from: patience, struggle, and strength. It's literally a manifestation of pushing through years of hard work, balancing your life, and flat out refusing to give up when things got incredibly tough. You're not just memorizing facts here, you are building character. There is this heavy, foundational weight to the whole academic experience that goes way beyond the classroom walls. It really comes down to the physical reality of that struggle we just talked about. Coffee in one hand, notes in the other. The source material brings us right back to those dark, quiet hours, trying desperately to just stay awake and stay strong. It is total survival mode, balanced right there in your 2 hands. It's honestly a perfect visual representation of the endurance test that literally every student faces.
Section 2. Moments of doubt. Feeling entirely lost.
Maybe we're not good enough. Wow, that hits hard, doesn't it? This highlights those specific, creeping internal doubts that tend to infiltrate our minds during those late-night study sessions. The fear of simply not measuring up. But here is the absolute psychological milestone. Despite feeling this profound uncertainty, and despite the heavy psychological weight whispering that we weren't good enough, we didn't quit. That decision to just keep going, that is the major turning point of the entire narrative.
When we map out this emotional journey, a really clear pattern emerges. You start at step 1, right? Enrolled, full of hope.
But then step 2 hits with the harsh reality of late-night studying, which inevitably leads to step 3's intense moments of doubt. But because we push through, we arrive at step 4, graduation day. It's a beautiful, chronological progression showing the exact path from feeling totally lost straight to the ultimate triumph.
Section 3. More than just studying. Growing stronger.
You see, if you only focus on the academic struggle, like the exams and the doubt, you completely miss the magic of the whole experience. It was about friendships, about growing stronger, about becoming who we are today. The academic pressure cooker doesn't just test you, it bonds you to the people who are enduring it right there alongside you. The stress actually served as a massive catalyst for growth, shaping our identities in profound ways that reach way beyond our specific majors.
And all that growth results in truly unforgettable memories. Laughing with friends, throwing caps in the air, taking endless pictures. The text reminds us that these are the memories we're going to carry for life. It's about turning all that overwhelming academic stress into joyous celebration.
Section 4. The day we arrived. Happy tears and proud hearts.
And this perfectly captures that ultimate convergence. We start out simply as students with dreams, but we leave as achievers with tangible achievements. All the patience, the gallons of coffee, the doubt, and the late-night laughter, it all converges on this single point in time. It shows that amazing transformation from walking into classrooms on day 1 to walking out of convocation halls on graduation day, transitioning from pure stress to undeniable success.
Section 5. Just the beginning. A new starting line.
For the graduates standing there, and really for any current students checking this out, this culmination is definitely not a finish line. The source text delivers a really direct, motivational message to every student. Your hard work will pay off. Keep going. Keep believing. If you are currently stuck in those late-night studying phases or those brutal moments of doubt, the message is super clear. Push through those tough academic stretches. The struggle is temporary, but the strength you're building, that's permanent.
Because if you do keep going, this is the emotional payoff waiting for you. Celebrating, smiling, winning. The text promises that one day you will stand there just like the graduates before you. It's such a powerful reminder that perseverance essentially guarantees you a spot in the winner's circle. You just have to hold on to that belief.
Which brings us to this incredibly powerful ending thought from our source material. We came with dreams, and we leave with achievements. This just perfectly summarizes the entire narrative arc we've been unpacking today. Dreams are wonderful, absolutely, but they require the heavy weight of patience, struggle, and strength to be forged into actual, tangible achievements.
So, I want to leave you with this provocative question. Now that you've achieved this, what dream will you chase next? If graduation is truly just the beginning, where does your newly built strength take you from here? Well, thank you so much for joining me to unpack this incredible explainer on the graduation journey. If this resonated with you, or maybe you know someone who really needs a reminder that their hard work is going to pay off, please like, share, and celebrate this moment with us. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next explainer.